Welcome to the Puravida podcast. My name is Dr. Gabriel Salgo, and I'm your host.
Guten Morgen. Welcome, Dr. Oliver Schütte.
Hello.
Very happy that we can do it again.
Very happy to be here.
We spent the last 3 days on the largest German ophthalmological conference. And it was very interesting for me because I was like really layman going around, like a kid in a candy store. Literally, they had a candy everywhere.
It's true. Only sweet popcorn, right?
Yeah,
correct. For salty one.
And it was mostly about cataract surgery, which is the most performed surgery, I think, worldwide.
Yeah, true.
And I think there's so much misconception, also from my side, who is an interested layman, but still not an insider. So we wanted to do a quick and dirty question and answer in a short form.
Okay. Try to keep it short.
So maybe we start. What is actually a cataract?
Yeah. Cataract is an error of the lens. The lens is getting denser and denser and denser. And so it's going to lose its autofocus. And it starts with like 50, when you're 50 years old. It's not changing the curvature anymore because it's not elastic anymore. The proteins in the lens lose their elasticity and they can't do the autofocus. So the eye is losing the autofocus function. And when you're like, 16 years old, you can see a sharp in like 5 centimeters, and it's going further away and away and away. And maybe with 25, you can see in 7 centimeters, but this doesn't matter. But with 40, it does matter. It's a lot of hassle if you have to put everything far, far away, and your arms are getting not long enough or are getting too short. And then you are looking for solutions. So I think a lot of patients don't like it. They want to have it back like what they were used when they were 16, but that's still not really possible. There are some pseudo solutions what you can do, but it's nothing comparable to the elastic 17 or 16-year-old lens. Sure.
So the lens practically deteriorates in two directions, in the elasticity.
Yeah.
And in also, I think, in clarity.
Yeah.
So we have 2 problems actually that you have to resolve. Yeah. But the main solution is first in the clarity of the lens.
That's
correct?
true. Yeah. It's first changing the color. So when you're like 50, 45, 40 years old, it's not that clear anymore. So part of the blue light is getting absorbed in the lens because it has a slightly yellow color. And maybe if you're in a dark room, it's harder to discriminate a dark blue from a black pullover, from a black shirt, for example. And it's getting worse and worse and worse. And when you're getting like 18, 19 years old, it can be like a gray color. So that's why we Germans like to call it Graustar. And I think the Greeks called it cataract because it looked a bit like waterfalls. But the lens is not clear anymore. That's true. That's the thing that is going to disturb us when we are driving at night, for example, when you have vision against light, that it's causing a lot of blur or halos around lights. That's what we did notice when we were driving in the morning with the car to the conference. And I think the night before, we were arriving in the evening. The sun was still high because it was the longest day in Germany.
Yeah,
right? It was the 21st. So there was still a lot of light, and the direction of the light was from above. So it was no disturbance for us with the windshield having all the
little spots and mosquitoes.
But the
pure ones. That's
early in the morning, where we left to the conference, we had to drive against the light, and we both couldn't see anything.
Yeah, very, very disturbing. Now, you just mentioned the blue light. I think that is also very interesting. Why then maybe older people who haven't had a cataract surgery yet are losing their day-night circadian rhythm and can't sleep properly. They're falling asleep during the day because their melatonin production is disturbed because of the blue light missing out of the spectrum, right?
Exactly, yeah. There's certain cells it's the ganglion cells in the layer. They're not photoreceptors, but they are producing melanopsin. It's very rudimentary cells that are causing the circadian rhythm.
That's the right way.
Yeah, that's the right way. And this is going to miss a little bit because they have the maximum of their absorbent spectrum in the blue light, in the wavelengths. If the natural lens is a little bit tinted yellow, it's going to absorb the blue light. And it's not so easy for the body to measure if it's dark or if it's night or if it's the midday. And this getting or disturbing a little bit the circadian rhythm and the sleep can worsen. So if somebody has depression or doesn't sleep that well anymore,
it worsens the whole situation.
Exactly.
And that's a very interesting case because aspect of the whole thing, because most people think of the cataract as a purely visual disturbance.
Yes.
But with these indications or these answers that it also disturbs the melatonin production, it becomes a complete holistic problem for the body, for the metabolism, for everything. And so there we could do now 2.5 hours from what melatonin disturbs the sleep. If the sleep is disturbed, your stress hormones rise, your insulin production and insulin resistance rise up. Your thyroid production is not going, the sexual hormones are not there. So that's something that maybe we can discuss in a separate one. If we want to keep it short.
That's true.
So let's go back to the clarity. If the clarity is disturbed, you don't see properly anymore. So you want to have the lens changed. When is the right time for an operation?
It's very individual. If you have hobbies that where you need a lot of contrast, for example, in my case would be skiing in the shadow, dark, or if it's a little bit cloudy day and you can't see the contour of the snow or the moguls, then it's really hard because could happen that you miss a mogul and you're not can't anticipate the shock, the bump, yes. And maybe with your ski. And I think certain hobbies require a very high contrast sensitivity, as well as driving at night for certain...
Even professions, as a pilot, as a lorry driver.
Exactly, bus driver, taxi drivers. They have very high, in Germany, they have to pass certain tests where they have to pass a test with very bright light. From like
front,
front or in bad light situations. And for them, it's sometimes necessary to operate really early so they don't lose their driving license or their profession.
So it's more or less adjusted to the patient's needs, not so much to medical indications. So it's not an emergency case, I think.
Exactly. It's not like you have to operate or you could die. It's nothing serious. And the patient has most of the time, he has a lot of time to choose the right date when he can do the operation.
And you did a very interesting speech about how you can, with the usage of pre-operative checkup measurements like the OCTs, like measuring the cornea density or the thickness of the cornea, improve the outcome of the surgery from 80%, which is already not too bad because people see much more than before. It's a clearer picture what they have, but they have to have this picture for 30, 40 years.
Yes.
So improving it from 80 to 95, 96% is essential. And there the preoperative checkups come into the game. And what are these checkups that they have to go through? And how long does it take usually?
You can measure a lot in front of the surgery. Most important part is probably the eye length. And the second most important part is the curvature of the cornea. So if you know how much light is refracted or how much by the cornea, and then you can measure or can choose the right lens. And right now, with the modern equipment, you can measure not only the curvature of the front curvature of the cornea, but the back. And this is pretty new. And with those two measurements, you can, if you add those both refractive outcomes, you can measure the sphericity or
Good question. I have no idea. Sphericity.
Yeah, the
curvature of the lens.
Yeah, and this makes a lot of a difference. If you have a very positive spheric cornea, then you would like to implant a very negative spheric lens. So you
practically balance it out.
Exactly.
Out. But that we will bring into the YouTube definitely here now some pictures, because along the eye length is something that maybe most people are not clear about. Where you start to measure the eye length, is it in the front of the cornea, or is it behind it? And where does it end? Is it until the iris, until the lenses, or to the optic nerve, or to the fovea? What is the distance actually?
You want the fovea, the part of the eye, the center where the most receptors are, and that depends. What was a good question. Before you were measuring a little bit in front of the retina, and right now you want to go to the retinal pigment epithelium. But the formulas are adapted. So you just have to know with what kind of measurement you did measure the eye length, and then you can adopt the...
So it's actually a formula that you have to develop, and I think they develop over time different formulas.
Yes.
For the accuracy, and as you mentioned, you practically have different curvatures. So you need a new formula for if you find something like that, correct?
Exactly, yeah. Before it was, most of the time it was a little bit empiric, because you couldn't measure the back of the cornea. Right now you can with the modern equipment. And now that there are several new formulas that improve it, the accuracy from like 80% to 93, maybe sometimes even a little bit more, 95%, plus minus 0.5 diopters outcome. Yeah, so it's a big improvement.
That's a huge improvement. But does it also mean that you have to sit down after you make the measurements by hand, that you are calculating this formula, or are they already practically in a software on the inside, or how does it work in real life?
It depends. Yeah, we choose to use a very new formula, and so we can use it it's for free. It's in the internet, but you have to transfer the data. And so we're using usually 3 formulas, different ones, with different measurements from different manufacturers. So in case there's one wrong, we want all to be very similar, but for some patients, like every 8th person, it's a huge difference. And you can find, if you have a very steep cornea, very flat cornea, very long eye, very short eye, very short anterior chamber, then the usual formula doesn't work that well. And then it's good if you have a very new one, and maybe even one that is still on right now only existing in the internet, like the Castrop-Rauxine Hoffman formula. That's very, very new one.
Please repeat it. Castro?
It's from the village in Germany where the eye doctors come in.
Oh, okay.
He invented it.
Interesting. So that's also something that we have to write them down.
Yes, but you can use it for free at some other site.
Yeah. I think that's an interesting point. And the second thing is that you do it practically for each eye, of course, separately. And compared to a lot of doctors that I know where the operations are within 1 week, or even at the same time, both eyes at the same time, which is seemingly convenient for the patient.
Yes. And for the
surgeon, of course, also, because you have the patient already there, you can't run away. So the 2 eyes are done. But I know that in your clinic, you are doing the eyes at least 3 weeks apart.
Yes.
For the reason, because you have one, and I have leading eyes, most likely, or Lidar.
Yeah.
In German, it's called Führungsei.
Yeah.
Which is the more the dominant eye. I think.
Yes.
Quite the right
Totally correct. Yeah.
And how do you find out what the dominant eye is?
Yeah, it's like with you have your left or right-hander, and we want to find out if you are left or right-handed. We always want to start. In my case, I'm a right-hander. I would start the operation on the left side, because on the right side we have some more information and can do it even more exactly. And to measure it, there are several tests you can do, but one is like if you use your thumb
Okay, that's
yeah. Yeah. You should try to cover the camera so you don't see it anymore.
Okay.
I check here. Can you still see it?
Now I can't see.
You can't see it. So in your case, it would be the left eye.
The left eye is more.
You're aiming with the left eye.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So you will start then with my right eye.
Another. I think that's what we got before. Yeah, the triangle. Then you can try to get it here.
Okay.
And usually you already did close one eye, and then.
Yeah, then it doesn't work.
No.
So I
have to close it.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you see it in the.
Correct.
Yes.
So,
that's
what. When I closed it, it was still there.
and I think you're a little bit myopic. And which one is the more myopic eye?
Cannot remember.
No, don't remember. Me neither. But
it's 5.5 and 6.
Yeah.
But I don't know which
one.
Which
one.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the worst refraction subtitle.
Interesting.
But you don't like to use.
Check later.
Yeah.
Definitely check it later. You start with that eye. You put in the lens, and you mentioned that the lens position, because the lens is changing. I mean, it's a healing process, so there's always an expansion of cells, and with that, it's how to say.
It's healing like a scar.
Exactly like a scar.
You cut yourself. Somebody has a big keloid, I think it's called.
Yeah.
A lot of scar tissue, and they are on. Maybe after 1 year you can't see anything. And it's the same with the eye. If you have a lot of scar tissue, a lot of fibrosis, it could happen that the lens is moving a little bit more forward or backward in another direction that we expected, or formulas did predict, and then we have a different refractive outcome, not complete, but maybe a little bit like in the one or the other direction. And for the second eye, we know, because usually it's healing on both sides the same. Yeah, that's something.
So you practically can plan better the second operation.
But maybe a good comparison is like if you try to shoot somebody who's trying to aim in the middle. He's not always
with a bullseye.
We don't hit it every time. The bullseye. We try to, but it's really hard. Like for aiming and shooting, it's
like a sharpshooter. If he knows then, okay, the wind is now coming a little bit from the left, so he can adjust the second shot.
Exactly.
That makes total sense.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is why you are having then this 3 weeks minimum apart from each other.
Exactly.
So the total outcome is better. And in these 3 weeks, do you check then the second eye again?
No. We don't have to do that, but we want to check the first eye that we already did and see and want to measure exactly what refraction the eye has, and if the patient is very content with the outcome. And then we can speak about the second eye and can plan if we are going to go a little bit more in the one or in the other direction. If you prefer, you always have one wish where you can see without glasses. It's not like you have several wishes, like with 16, that you can see at all distance very sharp. But one wish is free, and you can choose where all the light rays are meeting, whether your focus point is. And you can choose it if you can see, for example, near vision, like maybe 40 centimeters, or if you choose to work on your computer in 60 centimeter, or for driving or sports, distance vision. And
this is for the second aspect. I think that we have to make very clear. So the one aspect is the clarity, and all this what you're now describing is because of the second aspect, the elasticity of the lens. Correct?
Yeah, we can't correct this.
Exactly. The lens that you put in is not elastic anymore. So this is one thing. It's just like one trouser. So you can't gain weight. You shouldn't lose weight.
Yes.
one trouser that you are having for the rest of your life.
Yes.
So this is very important again. And I think that the patient has to go through a process of a self-finding process. So what do I want? Mm-hmm. And you mentioned before, that was very good. So, I want to see in 500 meters everything, because I didn't do it for the last 20 years. And then suddenly they can do it. and they're not able to read the menu.
Yeah.
And they're very disappointed.
Yeah.
And there are lenses, contact lenses, that can simulate this process. So you are doing with your patients usually a check where they put in the lens. They have to carry, they have to wear it for a day.
Yes.
And then they can say, oh, was okay, was not okay.
But you only can do it really early before you have a cataract. Then you can still do it. And then people can tell you what they like and what they don't like. And you have to be presbyopic. So
you already have to use the
reading glasses. Yeah, when you're old enough that the lens, the autofocus function is almost already lost, then it's possible to try all those different.
Yeah.
It doesn't work with 35, but like
50.
50 and later would be great to try this out.
So practically it's like a checkup for the heart. That with 50 you go and have these lenses tried. And then hope that for the next 20 years you don't hear about it anymore.
Exactly.
But you get this information and with 70 again and give it to your eye surgeon and says, oh, look, this was what came out 20 years ago.
What I like the most,
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think that a lot of people are doing it.
No, nobody has time.
So that's something that is really in the responsibility of the patient again. Because doctors are very honestly too busy. I mean, this is unfortunately everywhere the same thing. The doctors are focusing on the problems and not so much on the preventive solutions.
It's true.
And here it's a very early measure that also internists or GPs can recommend their patients. Go to I think in Germany, opticians
would do it as well.
Yeah, correct. You can try it and then keep the data on your phone. Yeah, give it and that. So in the second step, I realized that there were so many companies doing so many different type of lenses. And obviously there are so many possibilities now. How should a patient know? I mean, obviously the doctors are looking for an ideal solution.
Yes.
So you can do this, but how can the patient give an educated, I want this solution?
Yeah.
And you mentioned that the bifocal lenses, the trifocal lenses, they all have their sexiness.
Yes.
Because they give a good mix of the refraction.
Yeah.
But you're losing contrast.
Exactly.
And that is something that I, from my point of view, haven't had on my radar at all 2-3 years ago, because I went out, went into a darker room and could still read the menu, no problem. Now I have to put on the glasses, and even then I'm not able to see if it's on a gray shadowed menu with red foam. No chance. I have to get the light out. Yeah. And this is almost as disturbing as not being able to read without glasses. And this is completely lost in a trifocal or a bifocal, or not completely, but it's much less than in a clear lens.
Yeah. I think the most contrast is the aspheric lens, because
aspheric,
no. Clear lens is good too, but like in a modern camera, you only use aspheric lenses because there's already one problem solved when you're not getting the spherical aberrations, and you improve the contrast sensitivity. But that's totally true. When we're getting older, we're losing a lot of contrast. With 16, you have 4 times more contrast than somebody that is 70 years old. So you always have to think about the right lens. Do you want to improve your contrast? Are you trying to get old? And that's what's going to happen, that you're going to lose contrast. Or are you preferring comfort? But this is physics. If you divide the refraction, the light arrows in different focus points, there's less light available. So if you're doing 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 in certain light conditions, like outside with 100,000 lux, it does work very, very well. But if you have against the light driving conditions or night driving and the contrast is low, then it's impossible for any refraction or glass to get all the three light rays again, or the focus points again together. Yeah. And this is a big disadvantage. It's not like we have the perfect lens, but you have to tell us what you prefer. If you like comfort and say, my main goal is to never wear glasses again, because maybe in school somebody was teasing me, and my goal is, and I'm ready to lose contrast, but my highest goal is to get, I don't want to wear glasses again. And if you say my highest goal is to see as good as I can, like perfection or almost the most contrast sensitivity and the highest visual acuity, this is my goal. Then for example, a trifocal lens is the wrong decision, because you're losing contrast. It must be like this. There's no eierlegende Wollmilchsau, how say John below. Yeah. There's no perfect lens. You have to tell the ophthalmologist what you want. Like if you're going to a bike shop and don't tell the bike shop owner what you are trying to do. Say, I want the best bike in the world. You're doing a mountain bike downhill race with a race bike. Yeah, that's going to hurt, right? Yeah, it won't work. You have to tell somebody what you want.
I think this is what we can achieve now today with the podcast. The patient is much more informed.
Yes.
Yeah, and that helps the patient and it helps the doctor, because if the patient is not putting the right questions into place, there is nothing that the doctor can do about it. Yeah. Then it's his opinion, and his opinion is to make a compromise of everything. And as you said, if it's a lorry driver and he needs the contrast
as much as possible,
then the trifocal lens, which might work for somebody who is a outdoorsy person, and that's his goal, might work then very well. Now, how often can you change a lens? Is it like if something like that happens and he comes back and after 2 months it's like, I can't stand, it's completely impossible, put something else inside? Is that an option?
Like, for example, you chose the multifocal lens.
For example.
And, you can exchange it, but it's, I think the second time is a little bit harder for the surgeon, because we don't have to do it, fortunately, so often. So it's a little bit of a hassle to get the lens out. And especially if you wait very long, there could be scar tissue, like what we discussed before. And it can happen that it's not going to be that easy to get the lens out, because it's surrounded by scar tissue, and you have to cut the haptics to get the optic out. And maybe you can't even get the new lens in the same area where you had the old one before.
Yeah. And I think that we have to mention that the lenses that you are putting in are not looking the same as the lens that you took out. So it's not a round shaped pebble-like lens, but they have different shapes, like a square. Sometimes they have little hooks, so that they are defolding, or like an origami.
Yes, very nice. Yeah.
Go up. So we definitely have to put some pictures into here, and people see what a lens is like. And if it's in place and the scar tissue is there, what we mentioned even before, you have to go to the cornea
again.
And this is every time like a crack in the glass. You have the halos, you have the little disturbances in the light streams.
Yeah, we do the incision very much far away from the optical center. So that is maybe not the biggest concern. But to position the new lens that well as the first one, this is the big problem, because the first one was in the capsular bag. There were the old lens spots. The natural lens has like a diameter, or the thickness is like 5 millimeters, and the lens we are going to implant is like 0.8 millimeters. It's much thinner, and there's lots of place and space to implant the lens there. And like you described, it has a biconvex design with those haptics that is like a spiral. Yeah, it's expanding like the origami. but just in the center. And this is very easy and very sophisticated. But second time can be much more difficult. You have to implant it in the sulcus or fixate it on the muscle, the iris, and this can cause a lot of problems. So you want to do it once in the lifetime and have it for the rest of your life. I have patients that have it like for 40 years, and it's still here. You can't see if it has been implanted like
just
1 week ago or it has been 40 years.
Yeah, you mentioned your dad put them into the 80s.
In the 80s, I have some
That's
patients from him.
like 50 years.
Yeah.
So that means that they were also quite early on.
Yeah.
They most likely had some other condition that
traumatic
cataract. So that is also an interesting point. So some people have it in their 50s. That is already considered, I think, early.
Yes.
Other people in their 70s, 80s. Is there something that you can do so that the development is not coming that fast? Is there lifestyle? Is there food, vitamins, exercise, something to delay the development of a cataract?
Glutathione has the highest concentration in the lens. So it seems like if you're eating a lot of antioxidants, the vitamin C, everything, antioxidants, lutein seems to play a role. Maybe you can prolong it a little bit, like with gray hair or with a little bit of wrinkles.
Indeed.
It's going to come, I think, but maybe you can postpone it a little bit. Yeah. When you eat well, you sleep well, and antioxidant vitamins seem to play a very, very big role. Because it's nourished, the lens. It doesn't has any vessels, but it's nourished from the vitreous and from the
so it's diffusion there.
It's diffusion, yeah. And in the anterior chamber, you have like seven times higher vitamin C concentrations than the rest of the body or in the plasma.
Well, that's very interesting.
Very interesting. So if you have good vitamin C status, it needs to be beneficial for the lens. And some professions, like if you're working with X-rays, like surgeons that have to work with it, sometimes get on the eye where an X-ray machine is placed because they are not wearing always, because they are very heavy, the thick glasses to protect them from the
we discussed that, I think, a year ago.
Yes.
That we develop actually a glass where you're always protecting lungs or the gonads, ovaries. So for young people, so there's no damage to the fertility organs, but it's as important actually for the head.
Yeah, it's very sensitive.
Very sensitive, and it's actually simple. You do a lead covered glass.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the next big thing.
Yes.
Lead covered glasses.
Yeah. Pilots too. They have a little bit more of those X-rays when exposure to this. They are getting sometimes the cataract a little bit earlier. Patients that are taking cortisone, I have to take it. Yeah. Cortisone is one where you can get a cataract very, very early. Or traumatic cataracts, when you get like a football on the eye, can start early. That was supposed to be the most common causes.
Okay. And anything else that I didn't mention in that case? I think if we sum it up, it's very, very important that you prepare very well for the operation. You just don't go too fast and don't do the two eyes at the same time if you want a long-term, very good outcome, and make yourself conscious about what you want to see the next 30 years and how much of a reading or another type of glass you want to use. Correct?
That's correct. You can achieve a better refractive goal if you wait a little bit. Yeah, and then you can be even more precise on the second eye. It makes sense.
And also, mentioning the vitamins before. Don't start to take the vitamins when you already have a cataract. It should be started earlier, correctly?
Yes. It is. Vitamins are not vitamins, I think. Some people are afraid of vitamins because of the press, but like soluble.
Water-soluble vitamins. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. I think most of them are. I think that the risk is bigger if you don't take anything. If you eat a lot of green vegetables, you don't have to take it. But most of us, me included, sometimes we miss out. Like now in the conference, I didn't get any green vegetable.
Yeah, you see, I had this conversation with a colleague this morning. So medicine is always about risk benefit.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a proper lifestyle with a good diet, it's great and it's awesome and it's a basic for everything.
Yes.
But you want to achieve a higher level of vitamin C, for example, not the one that you don't get a deficiency on it and you get scorbut. What's the English name for it?
Yes.
I forgot.
Sure.
Nevertheless, so the goal is not to have the level of not deficient, but you want to achieve a higher level to avoid certain medical conditions or medical problems. And there is no risk of it. Especially for the water-soluble vitamins.
Exactly, yeah. I think vitamin A and beta-carotene, those fat-soluble,
they have a big
risk. Yeah, I think we don't have because we eat dairy products in Germany, for example, we don't have it. We measure it, but almost nobody has a deficiency. Vitamin A. Yeah, so that's probably unnecessary, and a lot of people bring together with the eyes because of like Auge in German, I don't know. And of course, it's responsible for night vision, but nobody has too little, and that you can overdose and it's not good for the liver if you have too much vitamin A.
I think also for smokers, yes, can lead to cancer. So
cancer rates
definitely. So you have to know your vitamins.
Exactly.
It's not something that you should just pop. And I heard it's good for my immune system.
Yes.
I cough 2 times, so I'm taking the vitamin C. Actually, it doesn't work that way at all. So it's a science for itself, but it's a very, very valuable science, and it helps with a lot of things to delay conditions like possibly the cataract. It definitely can delay and even regenerate age-related macular degeneration that we take into another time. Minerals, selenium, iodine are very well known that if you have an iodine deficiency, then you have extreme problems with your thyroid, and it can be not deadly, but you can become mentally disturbed. You have a lot of problems. So this is a very sensitive area, I know, but I think that vitamins are helping. And we mentioned glutathione. Glutathione is something that is not on the radar of people. So glutathione, in your opinion, is it better than to inject glutathione or oral intake?
I think oral, what they found is that it's first going to, it's like several amino acids. And at first, I think the bile, and it's going to cut into the different amino acids, and then it's going to restruct it. So it makes sense to take it, but I think the most efficient way, what I heard, is when you use it transdermal, and then you can really raise it into very, very high levels, for example. But eating...
So even compared to IV?
IV, I think it should be the best way. The best way, then transdermal probably, and then taking it still makes sense. But the body has to restruct it.
That's always a risk. If it's absorbed through the gastric, then it's always the breakdown. That's why, in my opinion, the collagen products are questionable, because it's broken down and then restructured again for what it's needed in the body.
But at least you have the amino acids in the right amount.
The correct amino acids. It's like Lego. If you have the little things in one box, then you know exactly. I can put it together in the same way.
You have enough. It should work.
Correct. That's a
good example.
Good example. Okay, great. Thank you very much. I think that was very helpful. We cut it down and make it also in one episode. And we come next time to the RMD, which was also very, very interesting in the conference.
Thanks a lot for having me.
Legal disclaimer. This podcast and website reflect the opinions of Dr. Gabriel Peter Salgo and his guests. The content provided here is not intended as medical advice and is solely for informational purposes. Given the unique nature of individuals, it is advisable to consult a healthcare professional for any medical concerns. The views expressed herein are our own and do not necessarily reflect those of our respective workplaces. While we strive for accuracy in the information shared, we welcome feedback and corrections. Privacy is paramount to us, and any references to individuals, locations, or scenarios have been altered to safeguard patient confidentiality. This podcast and website should not be construed in a legal capacity, including establishing a standard of care or as the basis for expert witness testimony. We do not guarantee the accuracy of statements or opinions expressed herein. Engagement with our content, whether through listening, reading, emailing, or social media interaction, does not establish a doctor-patient relationship. Should any errors be identified in our content, please contact us through the provided channels. Ownership of this podcast belongs to Puravida Healthline SDN BHD. Our content may include affiliate links, through which we earn a commission on sales made through those links. As a participant in the Amazon affiliate program, we may earn from qualifying purchases made through our links. Disclosures. Dr. Gabriel Peter Salgo is the co-founder of Puravida Healthline SDN BHD. Dr. Gabriel Peter Salgo is a scientific advisor, board member, and/or investor to Molagen H, Jada Kind Ltd, Eichsen Research, and receives compensation from these companies.